Directed by a man who was coincidentally named Marc Webb, this Marvel Comics adaptation of everyone's friendly neighborhood superhero is clear evidence of Hollywood's greed and lack of originality. Released on July 3, 2012, this reboot of the ridiculously successful Spider-Man film series comes barely 5 years after Toby Magquire's final picture, which for its many flaws is still better than this shameless cash grab. Last season here on Movie Night, I scored the original 2002 picture a 9 out of 10. And although I never reviewed its sequel, Spider-Man 2 is one of my all-time favorites from that decade, and easy amazing on the rate-o-matic for me. So to say I went into this picture with apprehension would be an understatement. This movie is thankfully still enjoyable though. It's just impossible not to compare the incredibly similar story and execution to the far superior trilogy that preceded it. Taking over the reins of the title character, the 29-year-old Andrew Garfield is commendable in the lead role, doing his best to portray the naivety and enthusiasm of the high school-aged protagonist. The adorably cute Emma Stone is positively terrific and flirtatious as the love interest Gwen Stacy, who begins to show depth and character just as the picture is wrapping up. Ryhs Ifans' dual portrayal of the villain mentor is a nuanced one, carefully exhibiting some of the reasons and motives behind such a ridiculous Dr. Jekyll, Mr. Hyde concept. As Garfield's parental guardians, veteran actors Sally Field and Martin Sheen are delightful and convincing, warning their adopted son, secrets have a cost, they're not free. Even comedian Dennis Leary's first live-action film appearance in 10 years is a memorable one. The gruff-talking police captain showcases a solid 3-act progression with his limited screen time. With the only continuity between the old and new versions being Stan Lee's humorous cameos, this is a fresh take on an old formula that desperately attempts to distance itself from the earlier films, by taking the lead character in new and different directions. Sometimes these decisions pay off. Garfield's intriguing search for answers regarding his parents' death and disappearance is unexplored territory that is fascinatingly examined here. But Garfield and Stone's love interest, although showing great sparks and chemistry, is decidedly hurried and poorly developed. As is Peter Parker's transformation into the crime-fighting web-slinger, the mild-mannered teenager morphs into Spider-Man in a single instant, with much of the playful and lighthearted discovery of his powers discarded for a surprise and quick ass-kicking scene on the subway that feels out of place. Spidey's powers and gadgets here, reportedly more authentic in regards to the decades-old comic, feel more like a high-strung parkour artist with a death wish than a building-crawling thug stopper.
So, 38 of New York's finest versus one guy in a unitard.
Although a bit long in the middle act, this 136-minute action film is decently paced and directed. James Horner's original score keeps things light and playful throughout, but the picture is never quite amusing or funny either. The one aspect that far exceeds previous installments here are the visual effects. Accomplished with such furious detail, it's almost difficult not to get vertigo in some of Spider-Man's high-flying sequences, especially one cool shot filmed from a first-person perspective between the buildings of Manhattan. With good acting, action, music, characters, and visuals, this is unquestionably a fun ride, but I can't help but be reminded of how much better the same material has been presented before. For better or worse though, this reimagining grossed over $750 million, so you can bet this won't be the last we see of Spider-Man. Entirely unnecessary, but not disappointing. Well, those are my thoughts on this picture. Now let's see what you had to say about The Amazing Spider-Man in the YouTube comments. Lots of great and various opinions on this one, so let's rank The Amazing Spider-Man on the rate-o-matic. A 9 and a 7. Although many weren't impressed with the villain here, you praised this film's visuals, casting choices, and action, citing this picture as a superior successor to the previous trilogy, rating it an awesome. And I definitely enjoyed this picture, but honestly it pales in comparison to the original films, especially the virtually flawless Spider-Man 2. I thought it was cool.